All right, let's dive into this, shall we? We're taking a deep dive today into the psychology of money.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, it's a fascinating look at how, all those things that make us human, our emotions, our biases, our past experiences, can really mess with our financial decisions.
Yeah.
Even if we think we've got it all figured out,
Right.
Like we're spreadsheet masters or something.
Exactly.
Today, we're going to break down some excerpts from Morgan Housel's book.
Okay.
And kind of see if we can figure out, what our money personality is.
Yeah.
And use that, hopefully, to make some, smarter choices, right?
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things that Housel really digs into is that idea that money, we think of it as this rational game.
Right.
Like pure numbers,
Yeah.
But he really dives into how our own individual experiences really shape how we think about it.
It's so true. It's like that story he tells about John F. Kennedy.
Oh, yeah.
Growing up crazy wealthy during the Depression. He just didn't have those same financial anxieties as most Americans.
Right.
And it ended up shaping his whole worldview when it came to money,
Absolutely.
But I think it's interesting to think about your own background too and how that's influenced you.
Totally.
Did you grow up valuing stability? Or were you kind of encouraged to, make bold moves?
Yeah.
All of that shapes our financial instincts.
Oh, for sure.
So just recognizing that is a huge first step, I think.
I agree. It's a huge first step because if you grew up with a lot of, say, economic instability, you might be more inclined to cling to your savings.
Yeah.
You might be very risk averse.
Totally.
But if you grew up in an environment where there was prosperity, you might be more comfortable taking chances.
It's so fascinating because it really shows it's not just about logic.
Yeah.
It's about how those past experiences, even from childhood, subconsciously shape how we approach money today.
And another thing Housel unpacks is this: the illusion of control.
Ooh.
We all crave control, right? Especially when it comes to money.
Right.
But we often overestimate our ability to actually control the outcomes.
Okay, so this one blew my mind, okay?
Okay.
He uses this analogy of an alien visiting Earth in 2007,
Right.
And then again in 2009.
Okay.
So, same planet, same resources, same everything, but the economic narrative...
Completely different.
Yeah, totally different.
Yeah.
In 2007, everyone's optimistic, right?
Yeah.
But by 2009, after the financial crisis, fear and pessimism just took over.
Right.
It's crazy how much our collective perception can shift,
Yes.
even when the underlying reality hasn't changed that much.
That's true.
Have you ever experienced this?
Oh, for sure.
Maybe a news story?
Oh, yeah.
Or even just a conversation with a friend swayed, your financial decisions.
All the time.
Yeah, right?
I mean, it really highlights the fact that so much of what drives financial markets is based on these narratives,
Right.
Like the stories we tell ourselves
Totally.
about the economy, about investments, about our own abilities,
Oh, absolutely. And I think, the dot-com bubble is a perfect example of that.
Oh, for sure.
Where everyone got, swept up in the hype, believing that they would get rich quick,
Yeah.
And it really proves that narratives, even if they're completely disconnected from reality, can really steer the market in a big way.
It's about understanding that our perception of risk and reward isn't always completely rational.
Okay, so how do we avoid making decisions based on fear or hype?
Right.
Do we need to become emotionless robots when it comes to money?
Well, not necessarily.
Okay.
Housel argues that perfect rationality
Yeah.
can actually be counterproductive.
Right.
Instead, he suggests aiming for what he calls reasonableness.
He uses this crazy analogy of treating syphilis.
I know this one.
Yeah, you know this one.
Yeah.
With induced fevers.
Yeah.
So medically sound, right?
Right.
But the treatment itself was excruciating.
Well, I can't even imagine.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But it shows that sometimes the most logical choice or the correct choice isn't always the best one.
Right.
And I think this raises a really interesting point for anyone listening.
Yeah.
Think about a time when you stuck to a strict budget because it seemed like the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But it made you totally miserable. You were giving up the things you love
Right.
and you felt restricted, even if your finances were technically improving. Right?
Yeah, exactly. It's about
that sweet spot.
Yeah, finding that balance.
Yeah, finding that balance between logic
Right.
and what you can actually live with.
Yeah, being able to sleep at night.
Right, exactly.
Is key to building a sustainable financial plan.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, let's talk about something Housel calls tails.
Tails.
Yeah, this is where things get really interesting.
Okay.
It's this idea that a tiny percentage of events can have a huge impact on the overall outcome.
Okay.
So like investing
Yeah.
a few blockbuster films
Yeah.
can make or break a studio's whole year.
Right. So it's not always about predicting every single move.
Right.
It's about like being prepared for the unexpected.
Yeah.
And he gives the example of Bill Gates, right? And how his access to a computer lab in high school played a huge role in his success down the line.
Okay.
That one seemingly random event had a domino effect on his whole life.
It's true.
It makes you think, like, what were the defining moments in your own financial journey?
Or think about this.
Yeah.
Imagine you've been working hard at your job for years.
Okay.
You're putting in the effort, but then one lucky promotion suddenly boosts your salary way beyond what you ever expected.
That's right.
That's a tail event.
Oh, wow.
It's those sudden wins or setbacks that can really change the trajectory of our financial lives.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But how do we prepare for those unpredictable tail events? Like, we don't even know what they're going to be.
It's less about specific events,
Okay.
more about a mindset shift.
Okay.
Recognizing the power of tails reminds us to be prepared for both the good and the bad, to have a safety net in place and not to freak out over every little setback.
That's good advice, yeah. Because it's easy to get like hyper-focused on, you know, the day-to-day.
Yeah, absolutely.
And lose sight of the bigger picture.
Right.
So I like that.
Yeah. So, welcome back to our deep dive.
We're back.
We've been talking about, you know, how your personal history can really shape your relationship with money.
Yeah, yeah.
But let's talk about another thing that can really trip us up.
Okay.
Which is, like, the desire for easy money. Those get-rich-quick schemes.
It's so tempting.
Right.
I've definitely fallen for them in the past.
Yeah.
I mean, who hasn't bought a lottery ticket hoping for a miracle?
Right.
Have you ever been like lured in by that?
Oh, yeah.
By a promise of easy money?
It's a common trap.
Yeah.
Housel tells this story of this guy, Rajat Gupta.
Okay.
Super successful businessman.
Uh-huh.
Like, he served on the boards of Goldman Sachs, Procter & Gamble.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, he had it all.
Wow.
Wealth, power, a perfect reputation.
So why risk it?
But he still got involved in insider trading.
Oh, wow.
Risking everything for a shot at easy money.
It just goes to show that even, like, the smartest people can get caught up in those schemes.
It highlights, I think,
Yeah.
how we often overestimate our ability to, like, outsmart the system.
Right.
Or beat the odds.
Like that old saying, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Exactly right. And so Housel argues that learning to be content with what we have is a financial skill in itself.
It's hard, though, because as our income and wealth grow, our desires and expectations kind of grow with them.
They do. It's
like we're on this never-ending treadmill. We achieve a goal, but then instead of feeling satisfied, we just set the bar higher.
We do.
Have you ever felt like that?
Oh, absolutely.
Like you're chasing a moving target when it comes to money.
Yeah, and I think a big part of that is,
you
know, social comparison.
Oh, yeah.
We're constantly measuring ourselves against others.
Especially with social media.
Oh, especially.
It's impossible to ignore everyone showcasing their perfect lives.
Yeah.
It's so easy to feel like you're falling behind.
Yes.
And it can really mess with your perspective, I think.
It's a dangerous game.
Yeah.
Because it can lead us to make, like, some really risky moves.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally.
Like going into debt or taking on investments we don't understand.
Right. Just to keep up with the Joneses.
Right. And Housel says there are things in life that are simply not worth risking.
Oh, yeah.
No matter how much money is involved.
Like your reputation.
Your relationships. Your health. Things you
can't just buy back.
You can't buy back. Exactly.
What you're growing.
So it's about recognizing that you know, true wealth is about more than just your bank balance.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of gaining perspective, I love how he takes us on this journey through history.
Yeah, he talks about
how past events,
yeah,
even ones that seem totally unrelated,
right,
can impact the present. Like he uses this example of ice ages.
Oh, yeah.
And how they're not caused by super cold winters,
right,
but by summers that aren't warm enough
to melt the snow.
Yeah, to melt the previous winter snow.
Right.
So it's that slow, gradual accumulation that leads to this massive shift in the Earth's climate.
Like a powerful analogy.
It is for the concept.
For compounding.
Yeah, compounding those small, consistent actions.
Right, like saving regularly, investing for the long term.
Can really add up.
They can add up over time.
It's like he points out that the majority of Warren Buffett's wealth was accumulated after he turned 50.
It's incredible.
It's a great example of how patience and long-term thinking can really pay off.
It's a reassuring thought, right?
Yes, it is.
You don't have to be a prodigy.
Right, yeah.
To be successful.
Yeah.
Consistency over time is key.
It's easy to get discouraged.
It is.
When you see those, like overnight success stories.
Right.
This puts things in a whole new light.
And Housel also talks about how technology has actually sped up this process of compounding.
Okay, how so?
So think about like computer storage, right?
Okay.
From the 1950s to the 1990s, growth was pretty slow.
Okay.
But from 1990 to now, it's been exponential.
It's incredible how quickly things are evolving.
I know, it's like...
Are we even using floppy disks anymore?
No, it's ancient history at this point.
Ancient history.
But that pace of change isn't just limited to technology, right?
Yeah.
It's impacting nearly every industry.
Yeah.
Creating, huge opportunities for growth, but also for disruption.
Right. So how do we prepare for a future that's constantly changing and evolving?
That's the question.
How do we even wrap our heads around that?
Well, Housel suggests that we need to understand history, but also be open to the fact that the future might not follow the same patterns. He says relying too heavily on the past to predict the future can actually be misleading.
He uses the example of retirement savings.
Oh, yeah.
The 401k didn't even exist.
Until 1978.
Yeah, 1978. And the Roth IRA came along in the 90s.
Right.
It makes you realize that, historical data about retirement planning might not be as relevant as we think.
It's like trying to navigate a city using a map from 100 years ago.
Right.
The landscape has changed.
Yeah.
You're bound to get lost.
Totally.
If you don't adapt.
So if we can't rely on the past, how do we make smart decisions about the future?
Right.
Especially when it comes to something as important as our finances.
Well, Housel suggests we take a page from the playbook of those successful blackjack card counters.
Okay. Interesting.
So they have a system that gives them an edge.
Okay.
But they know they can't predict every outcome.
Right.
So they bet strategically. Never risking too much. On any single hand.
Right. They're in it for the long game.
They are. Exactly. And that's a great lesson for investors.
Yeah, I can see that.
No matter how solid your plan is, there will always be unexpected events that will throw you off course.
He talks about this idea of a
he talks about
margin of safety.
Yeah, which was coined by Benjamin Graham, legendary investor.
Okay.
And he said it's like building a bridge.
Okay.
That can handle twice the weight it's expected to carry.
It's about having that buffer. Yeah.
It is about having that buffer.
That extra cushion.
To withstand the unexpected.
Bill Gates, even in the early days of Microsoft, insisted on having enough cash on hand to cover a year's worth of payroll.
Wow. So even when they were small?
Even when they were small.
Wow.
He knew that having that financial cushion would not only provide security, but also peace of mind. It's like having an emergency fund, but for your entire company.
That's a good idea.
Right. And it's not just about your investments. It's about your mental and emotional well-being, too.
Right.
Having that financial buffer can really help you stay calm and make rational decisions.
Even when things get crazy.
Even when things get crazy. Exactly.
So it's about preparing for those unpredictable tail events we talked about earlier.
Yeah, absolutely.
Recognizing that we can't control everything.
We can't control everything.
But we can control how we prepare.
Exactly.
For the unknown.
For the unknown, yeah.
Okay, so we're back for the final part of our deep dive into the psychology of money.
It's been a journey.
It has.
Yeah.
It has. We've covered like so much ground.
Yeah.
From, all our personal biases to the power of narratives, all these crazy things.
Yeah.
But I kind of want to talk about like the cost of investing now.
Yeah, that's interesting because
we tend to focus on the potential rewards.
Right, like the dream of financial freedom.
Yeah.
But we forget that those gains come at a price. Like, we wouldn't expect to walk into a store, grab a TV, and just, like, walk out.
Right. Everything has a price.
Yeah, everything has a price.
But when it comes to investing, we sometimes act like those returns should come risk-free.
Totally.
Yeah.
Have you ever felt that way?
Oh, for sure.
Like, why is my portfolio down? It should only go up.
It's a natural reaction.
Yeah.
But in investing, the price we pay is often volatility, uncertainty, sometimes even losses.
Right. That's just part of it.
That's part of the game.
He uses the example of General Electric.
Oh, yeah.
And how, there's like a success story for years.
Yeah, consistently beating
earnings estimates.
Yeah.
But it turns out their focus on like those short-term gains was hurting their long-term stability.
Yeah, when the 2008 crisis hit, they were exposed.
They were not prepared.
Yeah, it's a good reminder.
It is. It's like that saying, if you're not willing to pay the price, you're not serious about the outcome.
Exactly. And the price isn't always just financial.
That's true.
Investing can take an emotional toll, too.
Oh, yeah.
Think about, how you felt the last time the market dipped.
Ugh.
Even if you knew it was probably temporary.
Right.
That anxiety.
Yeah.
That's part of the price we pay.
It's true.
For the potential for long-term growth.
I've definitely felt that anxiety. It's tough to stay rational when you see, your portfolio balance drop.
Even when you know.
Yeah.
Logically.
It's part of the process.
It's part of it, yeah.
But he suggests, instead of viewing volatility as a punishment, to think of it as a fee.
Ooh.
Like the price of a ticket to Disneyland.
I like that.
Yeah. You pay for the experience, knowing that there might be long lines,
Right. Some rain?
Maybe some rain.
Maybe some crying kids.
Yeah, but the magic and the memories,
Yeah, they're worth it.
They're worth it.
So
I love that analogy. It really reframes it.
It does reframe the whole experience.
Yeah, so those ups and downs in the market.
Yeah.
That's just the cost of admission.
It is, yeah.
For the potential, long-term rewards.
It is.
And speaking of, shifting your perspective, Travis, seeing the long-term potential.
Yeah.
One of the things I was thinking about was, the whole thing with the alien visiting Earth.
Oh, yeah, in 2007.
In 2007 and 2009.
That in 2009, right?
Same planet, same resources.
Same everything.
But the economic story was completely different.
Right. In 2007, optimism was high.
Everyone's feeling good.
But 2009, after the financial crisis.
Doom and gloom.
Doom and gloom.
It's fascinating how much, our collective perception can impact our decisions, even when
the underlying reality
it hasn't changed that much. And it made me think, how often I make financial decisions based on, what I hear from friends or family, or even just the news.
Right, the news.
Yeah. It's powerful stuff.
It's incredibly powerful, and it's also about thinking about the stories you tell yourself about money.
Oh, yeah.
Do you believe you're bad with money?
Right.
Do you believe investing is too risky?
Right.
These narratives, even if they're not true, can really hold you back.
That's so true. It's like we create these self-fulfilling prophecies.
Yeah, absolutely.
If we believe we're bad with money, we're more likely to make decisions
that reinforce that belief.
Housel
says that we all have these incomplete views of the world,
right?
But we try to fill in the gaps with these grand narratives.
Right. We want to make sense of things.
It's human nature.
Yeah.
To want certainty and order.
It's like when you're working on a puzzle.
Yes.
And you have missing pieces.
Yeah.
You try to make the remaining pieces fit.
You do.
Even if it means forcing them.
Right, or using your imagination to fill in the gaps.
Yeah.
And that's
where we get into trouble.
Yeah.
Especially with money.
Exactly.
We make decisions based on
incomplete information.
Yeah, incomplete information or faulty assumptions.
Yeah.
So what's the solution?
Yeah, how do we avoid
how we avoid
going prey to these narratives?
Yeah.
Well, Housel encourages us to embrace humility. Yeah.
Okay.
We need to acknowledge that we don't have all the answers.
Okay.
And be open to changing our minds.
Yeah.
When presented with new information.
I like that, yeah.
It's about having a growth mindset.
Having the open mind.
Yeah. Being willing to learn and adapt.
Okay, so embracing humility. Being mindful of the stories we tell ourselves.
Yes.
And remembering that volatility.
Yeah.
That's just the price of admission.
That's the price of admission.
For, potentially big rewards.
For those big rewards.
What else can we take away from this deep dive into, the psychology of money?
I think the key takeaway here is that your psychology is just as important, if not more so.
Than your financial knowledge.
And your financial knowledge, yeah.
It's not always about the numbers.
It's not just about the numbers.
It's about understanding.
It's about understanding your own behavior.
Yeah.
Your biases, your emotional responses to money.
Yeah. And using that knowledge to make better decisions, right?
Better decisions and create a financial plan that actually aligns with your values, your risk tolerance, your goals.
Yes, your goals, absolutely.
The psychology of money is full of practical advice.
It is.
That you can really apply.
No matter where you're at.
To your own life.
Yeah.
Whether you're a seasoned investor or just starting out.
Well, there you have it.
And there you have it.
We've explored all the quirky ways
that
our brains work when it comes to money.
Yeah.
And hopefully you've gained some insights to make some, smarter financial decisions.
Absolutely.
So thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
On this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
It has.
Yeah.
We hope you found it valuable.
We'll see you next time.
See you next time.